First, why don't we just get a little bit of your background?
Okay, I'm originally from the Chicago area, but spent about 20 years in southeastern Massachusetts and Rhode Island, working with various orchestras as a player and also in some administrative capacities. And for the last 3 years, I was living in South Florida.
All right. In over these last 3 years, were you
Oh, yes, of course.
running organization of some sort?
Yes, I was running music at St. Paul's, which is based in Delray Beach. It's a chamber music, classical chamber music series in its 32nd season. And that was part of a larger position of Director of Music Ministries at St. Paul's Episcopal Church, which has a big church program in Delray Beach.
Oh, okay. Just out of curiosity, what instrument or instruments?
So yes, like many people, I started as a pianist, and then I did my undergrad at DePaul University in Chicago and majored in harpsichord, an unusual choice, and that led me to Yale University, where I did my master's and doctorate in harpsichord. And in the time of being studying as a harpsichordist, I became familiar with the pipe organ, and that led to a career also as a church musician and choral director. So sort of a multi-purpose musician in many ways, but my main instrument is a harpsichord.
Oh, wonderful. All right. So any sort of Baroque music, I guess. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, and as my career's moved on, I'm doing less playing and more administrating, and that's great. It's been a really nice transition. I still play here and there, it's maybe more of a hobby now, but I still have people I play with and so on.
Yeah, that's wonderful. All right, so why choose to come here to Binghamton?
Well, I had been, with my wife living in South Florida for 3 years. We have a family in southeastern Massachusetts, and our move to South Florida for a great position and really a nice beach town kept us far from family. We didn't quite put all the pieces together until we were there for about a year and said, it's hard to get family down here, and it's hard for us to get up there because I was so busy, my wife was so busy. And so we started to look to move back to the area. And frankly, we never considered New York State because it felt very far. Being provincial New Englanders, my wife is originally from New Bedford, Massachusetts. And around the same time, I started looking into orchestral administration because I have a history of working administratively. I started my own nonprofit in Newport, Rhode Island, a Newport Baroque Orchestra. I was chorus master of the New Bedford Symphony. And I played with New Bedford and also with Rhode Island Philharmonic. And so I had to work as an administrator, also as a player. When the position became available in Binghamton, I initially didn't consider it because I felt it was far from Massachusetts. And then, of course, being provincial, I looked at Binghamton and said, this isn't far from Massachusetts, not at all. And and that sort of led me to apply for the position. And of course, in that process, getting to know this community better and getting to know the Philharmonic better and its really excellent programming and a really fine organization, then I got excited. And so then I applied. It was just after Thanksgiving last year, and came in February to interview, and the rest is history.
It's wonderful. So what are you looking forward to the most about running this organization?
Goodness. Well, first, I've come into a very healthy organization. That is in some ways unusual. I have a great team working with younger people on the BPO team. The board of directors is very solid, and the programming is excellent. I keep telling everyone that to have a regional orchestra perform all 9 Beethoven symphonies as a cycle is unheard of. It's really unusual. So it's great to come into this process of performing Beethoven in the middle of this 2-year season. So it's really very exciting. I think the programming is great, and I look forward to working with the great music director, Daniel Heggie, and the staff and board and to get to know this community. Of course, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and that provides its interesting challenges in its own way. But the current situation is allowing me in a unique way to connect with people in the administration and board that I maybe wouldn't ordinarily do, at least in the same way. It's a little more intimate right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say from an outsider view, it seems to me that the Philharmonic, over the course of its last couple of directors, has done a particularly good job of forging partnerships within the community, whether it's through corporate sponsorships or just other arts organizations that they work closely with. I'm not sure if you're aware of that or if you have an opinion on that sort of thing.
It's the partnerships that the Philharmonic has forged are really exciting. I keep saying that Binghamton is sort of Frank Capra's dream. Frank Capra believed in through films like It's a Wonderful Life and so in the value of being local and investing locally. And I feel that what I've observed in this community in just 2 short weeks, 2.5 weeks, is a tremendous reinvestment at a local level. And I can see that through the partnerships of the Philharmonic with other arts organizations, but also in our corporate partnerships and community partnerships. It's really very exciting. There's so much really reinvestment, and that's a money thing, but it's also an arts and culture thing. And I find, through our partnership with Luma, for example, how exciting that we have this confluence of arts organizations that see the value of working together. It's great, and I can't wait to get to know all of these entities better.
Yeah. Do you come in, obviously you're still very early in, but do you come in with maybe some ideas of things you'd like to try, things that maybe have worked for you in the past?
Well, in the interview process, of course, I had the question, what would you like to do in the first 30 or 60 days? Well, back then, everything was very different. So I feel everything, how shall I say this? Let me rephrase that. There is, for me, a great sense that I'm in the right place at the right time to steward this organization at this time of pandemic. Obviously, we're a public performing arts organization that provides a lot of challenges. But I'd like to say that the organization, we are leaning into the pandemic rather than fearing it. And right now, we're in the process of coming up with some creative and exciting ways to work within what we've been given. And to that extent, I feel that I'm in the right place at the right time because I'm a creative person and I'm working with our team to find ways to work around this pandemic. So to ask what I'm looking forward to doing into the future, my mind's not on that right now. I'm really looking at how to navigate the cards that have been dealt for the moment. And that's it's exciting because I think we have a lot of creativity, a lot of potential. And as I said earlier, to connect with our audience in this situation, it creates a certain intimacy that maybe doesn't exist when everything is normal. So so we have some plans on the way, and maybe not. I'm not ready to talk about them just yet, but a lot of exciting opportunities for us at this time.
Obviously, the Philharmonic has had to either cancel or postpone some performances during this period, and then, of course, it's already being signaled that the transition out of this sort of period of lockdown is going to be a gradual one in which there will be a fairly significant time, I think everyone is assuming, during which as things restart, they'll be restarting in ways that I guess, will honor social distancing. So, I mean, what does that mean for an organization like yours? Are people in the forum all sitting 6 feet apart? Is the orchestra, are they all spread 6 feet apart on stage?
We don't know yet exactly how this is going to look and how this is going to play out. I take heart in knowing that the federal guide or plan of a 3-phase plan in its first phase, has already talked about churches, arenas, sporting events, and so on. That doesn't mean any of this is going to happen right away, but at least it's being discussed, because I think we have an innate human desire to be together. To be together, it doesn't mean in a 1,000 seat concert hall, but to enjoy things and have shared experiences. So right now, the Philharmonic is strategizing ways to bring us together in a way that is safe. And as I said, it's a little early for me to discuss some of the things we've talked about, but I don't want to give the impression that we're going to hide under a shell. We're going to try to find ways that are safe, that continue to forge our mission of creating community through the power of live music. If that means a string orchestra, because our wind players can't wear masks and play a flute or a trumpet, if that's a possibility, that's something we are exploring right now. And maybe exploring some smaller venues where we can spread out an audience without creating a very large audience like at the Forum. So we're sort of exploring different opportunities, what might work. And all of that while we continue to search to complete the integrity of our Beethoven cycle. We've performed the first, second, and third symphonies. Our next two are the fourth and fifth. We want to continue that cycle in the order of conception, 1 through 9. So we're working with ways to make that happen. And I would just ask people to stay tuned as we come up with our plan.
That's great. Safe to assume at this point that things like season ticket sales for the 2021 season are somewhat on hold at this point, given the uncertainty, or? Right.
Well, we haven't, in fact, truly canceled anything. We've postponed performances. So we are honoring ticket sales at this point. We are looking at subscriptions for next year. Everything. We're right now, with our postponement of concerts, we are sort of in our summer mode where we're doing a lot of planning, which is why I can't give you the firmest answers right now. But we are viewing this time as sort of our summer planning time. And of course, we have to have our thinking caps on, because how can we achieve what we can as a public performing arts organization? In truth, we are looking at some of our larger performances being pushed a little bit later than, say, in September. And trying to find public performing options that can work within the confines of a pandemic. Whether that's chamber music or other types of small ensembles. But what we are really working towards is maintaining our sense of musical community during this time. And we continue to find creative ways to do that. It is a challenge, don't get me wrong, but we look at it with great optimism, positivity, and a great understanding of our role in this community as a community builder. We can't be a community builder if we're not building community. So we keep forging forward, and it's very engaging work, I have to say, to be so creative and to find ways to do this.
Great.